Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Logan, and here on Two Guys Tech, it's been pretty well established that we believe the media you watch in your home should actually be in your home. And if you've ever subscribed to a streaming service like Netflix or Prime Video, just to have a show that you wanted to watch get taken down, well, I'm sure you can understand where we're coming from. And especially while streaming services are implementing more and more intrusive methods of controlling your access and making sure you spend more money for the same service, it's starting to get to the point that they're resembling the ancient cable TV subscriptions that so many people were trying to ditch in the first place. Just about everyone's hiking prices. Prime Video is going to be introducing advertisements into their current paid tier, and Netflix is taking down something like 31 different movies and various seasons of TV shows in February alone. So if you haven't watched those yet, well, either it's time to get to work, or you can look into some alternatives. So if you're interested in seeing what it might look like to cut the cord for good and get some actual control over your ability to access the content you want to watch in your own home, well, that's what I'm going to be trying to cover in this video. And while we've made a few videos like this in the past, the solutions that we've covered have either been kind of expensive or more of a DIY project that might not fit most people's needs very well. To replace the streaming services without too much cost or complexity, you're gonna need a few things. First of all, a place to store your movies and TV shows, like a computer hard drive, server, or a NAS, as well as a place to get your movies and TV shows, like a DVD or a Blu-ray disc, and a way to record your movies and TV shows onto your storage, like a Blu-ray optical drive here, which your computer may already have built in. For the storage of your media, while you can use whatever kind of parts you want, and there are a lot of great options on the market right now, today we're going to be approaching this task with the TerraMaster F2212 network attached storage for a couple of reasons. It comes in at a very reasonable $170 price tag, it's extremely power efficient, and we think it'll suit most people's needs very well. And for full disclosure, TerraMaster did provide this NAS to us for review, so we want to thank them for that. The NAS is the heart of your entire streaming system. This is the place where your media collection is going to be stored across your storage drives, where your storage is configured for accessing your network, and where you can run some software to organize those media files and play them back on different devices, like your phone, computer, or smart TV. The F2212 is a pretty basic option, offering a quad-core ARM processor with hardware video encoding, 1 GB of DDR4 RAM, and a single gigabit Ethernet port. And while it's nothing to write home about with an all-plastic build and a very minimalist design, the advantage here is that the F2212 is really efficient, so you can leave it running all the time and have it available 24/7 for playing back your media. Just hide this thing next to your internet modem or router and you're basically good to go. The two 3.5-inch SATA hard drive bays in the front can each accept up to a 22 terabyte drive, so in theory you could have 44 terabytes of storage running in your media server, which roughly equates to something like 1,760 Blu-ray movies all on this compact box. To be more realistic though, some of the best deals you can get for hard drives right now are within the 8 to 16 terabyte capacity range, and you'll want to protect your data by mirroring those drives, which is managed by the NAS automatically, so that way if one of your hard drives just gives up the ghost without warning, you won't be left without any of your data. On the topic of data though, the other big elephant in the room here is how you can actually get popular movies and TV shows into your home without the help of streaming services. And, well, actually the answer is probably a lot easier than you think. Just go to eBay, search for something you want to watch, and see if you can find it on Blu-ray. Physical media is by far the best way to get access to a movie or TV show, in my opinion, because you can get plain 1080p Blu-rays for really cheap, and once you have that disc, you can watch it as many times as you want. It doesn't use any of your internet bandwidth, it looks better thanks to higher bit rates, and they usually offer more advanced lossless audio codecs. You can even use the special features on the disc if you so please. But I would also argue that discs aren't actually the best way to watch that content, especially for a TV show. A single season might be split up across multiple discs, and each season usually gets its own separate release. So you could probably end up with a bunch of discs, and Blu-ray players aren't the most reliable things on the planet either. Discs themselves can even get scratched or dropped, potentially rendering them unusable. And that's where media ripping comes into play. Take an optical drive, plug it into your computer, and using a piece of software like MakeMKV, which is a free download on Windows, macOS, and Linux, copy the video from the disk into a file that you can host over the network. For 1080p Blu-rays, this is a plug-and-play process with most Blu-ray drives you can get off Amazon, and this process will keep the full quality of the movie as it is on the disc. 4K Blu-rays like this one can be more complicated, but in either case, we've already made multiple videos on this exact topic, and I'll leave a link to our latest guide down in the description so you can get a feel for how that works. But first things first, let's get our NAS set up for storing our media. I'm going to be slotting in a couple of hard drives I already had on hand, and once you have that done, hook up power and an Ethernet connection and turn on the NAS. Our TerraMaster unit here uses an app called TNAS PC app to automatically discover the NAS on your network and make it accessible on any regular PC or Mac. So we went ahead and grabbed that, and it promptly found the setup interface of our NAS so we could configure the software. This was some pretty generic stuff like installing TerraMaster OS, creating user accounts. All in all, it only took about 15 minutes and we were good to go. With that done, we went on to create a shared folder on our NAS, which is a network location that you can use to access the files of the NAS from a desktop computer or a phone, for example. And that was done pretty easily from within the TerraMaster web control panel. You can customize the setup here by creating more user accounts and restricting access of the folder to certain ones, but for simplicity's sake, we're just running everything through the same account. You don't really need anything more than that in most scenarios. Inside of that, I made a couple of folders for holding my TV shows and my movies. You can then mount this on any regular Windows computer very easily and get access to the file structure of the NAS over the network. Next thing we did was to install the TerraMaster DLNA Media Server, which is a free download from the TerraMaster's built-in app store. And as far as media server software goes, Plex and Jellyfin are the two options that we've discussed extensively here on our channel, and each of them have their own advantages and disadvantages. Generally, we would recommend using Jellyfin Media Server in most cases, since it's fast and has a lot of customization options, but again, for the sake of simplicity, I wanted to explore the TerraMaster's DLNA Media Server instead. And the reason for that is DLNA is a technology that's been around for a really, really long time. So it's supported by just about every device out there, and it's a more basic method of serving content compared to something like Jellyfin or Plex, which literally have to host a video streaming website within your network just for devices to access it. By contrast, the DLNA server just tells devices on your network what files are on the server and how to get access to them. So after installing the DLNA server, head on over to the General tab, and here you'll want to enable the multimedia server so you can actually use it. And then go into the option to set directory for media index, check the box to enable media indexing, and then add your two movies and TV shows folders into the media indexing location. Leave everything else default, apply your changes, and head on over to the compatibility tab. And here, if you wanted, you could enable the video transcoder as well as 4K video transcoding and real-time transcoding in order to make sure that the media on your server will play on more devices that require transcoding. In our case, we're using a smart TV, which does not need this feature, so we prefer the higher quality of a direct stream rather than transcoding. And that's all you have to do as far as the software setup is concerned. If you head on over to a computer and copy your ripped media in MKV format over to the folders of the NAS, they should just become accessible using any DLNA streaming app, like for example the VLC app, which is available for Android TV, Apple TV, and a whole bunch of other devices. As far as we're concerned, this is probably one of the easiest ways to get started with media streaming, and it should give you enough storage space to kickstart your media collection with a robust server that you could expand over time if you wanted to do so. If you want to get started with media streaming the right way without putting up too much of an upfront investment, I think the solution's pretty good. Now, I will say, as a matter of personal opinion, that I prefer Jellyfin over something like this, since Jellyfin has a way better system for organizing and tracking your media. It feels a lot more like Netflix when you're actually using it, but I also think that's outside of the scope of this video, since I wanted to demonstrate how easy it could be to get started with an inexpensive setup like this. I also just feel like Jellyfin is better suited on a far more powerful system with more storage capacity and RAM, since the advantages really start to stack up when you have a larger media collection, but of course you need a place to keep it as well, and that's a lot of money in drives. Either way, if you're interested in checking out the TerraMaster F2212, I'll be sure to leave a link to their website as well as a link to a store page on Amazon where you can go ahead and learn more about this particular model and any of the other NAS devices that TerraMaster sells on their website. And with that, I think I'm just about done here. So if you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe so you don't miss any of our future content. And as always, have an awesome day.